Well, for the second straight game, Michigan will be without their starting point guard, somebody that Kim Barnes-Arico calls their best player in the country at that position. Amy Delk did not make the trip after medical reasons. She's not going to be here again today, so that means Danielle Roush will have to step in her place. She's not playing much this season, just 14 minutes per game, but she had to play 35 minutes in game one and really fill a role that she had not been used to all season. We'll see if they're able to withstand that absence of Amy Delk today.
And there she is, number 23 in the blue. It's Michigan and Tennessee for the first time ever on the hardwood. Winner to the Sweet 16, and let's go. Brian Burnett, Mai Forsberg, Bob Schofield, the officiating crew. Tennessee, of course, in the white. Michigan in the maize and blue. And here's one of the key bigs in the post for Tennessee, Tamari Key. And this is what Tennessee does, pound the offensive glass. Davis offline, Roush with the rebound. So here's the Capital One starting five for Michigan. Not just Roush, Kenray Johnson must step up as well in Dilk's absence, but Naz Hillman, Christy, averaging nearly 25 and 12 on the year, a force inside.
And I'm so eager to see Tennessee's game plan in terms of how they defend her. But right now for Michigan, they've got to keep Tennessee off the glass if they're going to have a chance here this evening.
Well, there's Renaya Davis, who you just spotlighted before with the first bucket. Hillman's number 00 in the paint. That's the player to keep an eye on all day. Will be a difficult task, to your point. See how Tennessee defends the All-American. Christy, these two terrific athletic programs, brands, these two have never met on the hardwood in women's basketball before. First ever meeting. Here's the Tennessee starting five, brought to you by Capital One. And yeah, that duo, Burrell and Davis, they average close to 35 a game.
Well, Kevin, don't sleep on the bigs of Tennessee. Those two young ladies, Key and Keshkitawa, have improved their game so much as the season has progressed.
Key got the offensive rebound, missed it at the rim, and the possession arrow favors the Wolverines.
Well, Jordan Walker is the smallest player on the floor, but this is a young lady who had 14 rebounds in their win over Middle Tennessee in the first round. She's just active, disrupts defensively, and gets on the glass.
That is the 5A junior from Muskegon, Michigan. So far, a couple of empty trips for Michigan. What is it about Hillman that has stood out this year?
Well, I think she's really transformed her body from a year ago. Her free throw shooting percentage is up as well because she gets to the free throw line 8 times a game, but it's her hands and her footwork. She does so much work before the ball even gets to her.
Well, Kenray Johnson gets Michigan on the board, the steal and the score. Michigan took down Florida Gulf Coast in its first round battle. Tennessee toppling Middle Tennessee State. Both in the round of 32, looking to advance. And there is Key heading to the line.
Kenray Johnson is so good off the bounce. Here she turns her defense into offense, taking it the length of the floor for 2.
Just one player going one way, the other expecting the pass to go another direction.
Well, guys, already something to be concerned about for Michigan right here. Naz Hillman, who is their leading scorer, scored just 14 points in their first round game because of foul trouble. She has just picked up her first personal foul, so let's see how they are able to be very cautious with her and see how she's able to be playing, because that was a huge deal. Both of their leading scorers were in foul trouble in game one.
And you see just the 14 points to go along with the 13 rebounds for Hillman.
Well, to Holly's point, I mean, Hillman sat the majority of that second quarter. But honestly, it was completely Leah Brown in that second half offensively. They didn't need to feed Hillman the ball.
And here is Brown. As you mentioned, went for 28 in the first round win. Johnson flips it up. It's Walker with another rebound.
And Kevin, Tennessee's active defensively, but I can't stress this enough. This is a very long team. For Tennessee, you're talking about 8 of the 10 players who are dressed are 6 feet or taller. I'm eager to see how much that disrupts Michigan's offensive flow here today.
Another offensive rebound, maybe a third. No, it's Roush with the board. And just watch the length, watch the reach on this side. At 3, strong. Burrell comes away with it. Brown walked.
I think it's really important for Michigan, yes, to get out in transition, try to score, but not allow Tennessee to speed them up. Because if you get sped up, that means Naz Hillman's not going to be a factor in this game in the half court.
You see the start for both of these teams. Michigan 1 of 6 from the field. Tennessee just 1 of 8. Both of these teams very efficient on the offensive end. Tennessee with that 17-7 record. Kishkinawa buries the jumper. Went 9-4 in the SEC, finished 3rd, its highest finish in the league since sharing the regular season title in 2015. Here is Brown, that step, and then cut off. Jordan Horston swipes it away.
Yeah, that's a change Tennessee's made here in about the last 5 games, bringing Horston off the bench. And we saw it against Middle Tennessee. Such an energizer for this team when she comes in. And honestly, her point production and her shooting percentage is up coming off the bench.
Riverwalk Regional 3 against 6. Winner to the Sweet 16 to face either Baylor or Virginia Tech. Tennessee still struggling, now 2 of 10 from the floor. Brown, great find. It's Hillman.
And Kim Bartarico says that Hillman is the fastest post player in the country. She says Hillman wins every sprint in practice. There it paid off as she was able to get rewarded for running the floor.
Running the floor indeed, the Big Ten Player of the Year. A wild layup, and now Michigan coming back the other way. Back out, Johnson, bounces, Hillman, no. That basket's good from the free throw line.
Cassie Keshketawa is finally healthy for the Lady Vols after battling injuries her first 3 seasons. And she has been a big addition, not just her length, but scoring as well.
Tennessee by 1. We played 6 in the first quarter. Walker waits for the play to develop. Double comes. Foul on the way up.
Well, if you're the Big Ten Player of the Year, you got to find a variety of ways to score. Naz Hillman running the floor, and her teammates reward her for the easy 2.
The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need.
In San Antonio for the NCAA Women's Championship. What a fantastic season for Michigan. You could say one of the best in program history. Started 10-0, rising to number 11 of the AP poll. That's the highest in school history. So is the 6th seed it received in this tournament, the highest ever for the program. And Holly doing all this even despite that lengthy COVID pause during the season for the program.
That's right. Michigan coach Kim Barnes-Arico said it's been one of the most difficult seasons as well. Positive and negative. They had a team pause just before Christmas where they lost a couple of games, had to go on a team pause. But then they got their stride. They were rolling along when the university had to shut down for 2.5 weeks around January 23rd. So they have had extended pauses with this team. She said, we went for weeks without touching a ball, being in the gym. For them to accomplish all of this despite all of that adversity, she said it's one of the things I'm most proud of in my 20 years coaching. I've never seen a team go through a season just like this.
Well, and Holly, I think that's a testament to Kim Barnes-Arico. And honestly, in my opinion, one of those coaches who just doesn't get enough attention. A great recruiter, developer of talent, teaches the game so well. And I think Naz Hillman's a great example of her development under Kim's leadership.
And where is she taking the biggest step forward this year, Hillman?
Well, I think, honestly, she's in better condition, so she can run the floor better. She's more efficient. And I can't go back to that free throw percentage enough. When you're as active as she is, on cue with the offensive rebound putback, she's getting to the free throw line. It's wasted attempts if you're not finishing, and she is finishing this year. Naz Hillman on cue positions herself on the weak side to grab that offensive rebound for the putback.
If you didn't trust us when we told you how good she is, she now has 1,500 career points. There's Mom watching on, and yes, hello. The former Vanderbilt star. So critical in her aiding in her daughter's success. Just a sophomore from part of the junior from Cleveland.
Well, apparently,
when the pandemic
Kevin, but when the pandemic began, Naz went home and she and her mom watched film of last season together and gave her daughter a lot of pointers on ways to improve. And it's paying dividends here this season.
You know, and just a testament to all the players that the ones that took advantage of the time when they could, of course, the sacrifices necessary to make this season go, they are immense. Now there's Brown looking here with the shot, a 1-point lead for the Wolverines. Nearly another turnover. Michigan looking to advance on the hardwood here to its first Sweet 16 ever. Meanwhile, on Friday, Michigan on the ice against Minnesota Duluth. The regional semifinals get going on Friday, 4 Eastern on ESPNU. It is championship time of the year. Davis has had a couple of close looks, just hasn't gotten the friendly roll. 2 points on 1 of 5 shooting. Oh, Key tipped it away. Walker's able to dive on it. Another turnover. Roush, strong on the 3. Well, that's a player you must box out. Hillman was able to get to the bounce, and Michigan has a third chance on this possession.
But 2 times now, Tennessee's length has either blocked or forced Hillman to adjust that shot. We're seeing the length come into play here big time for the Lady Vols.
Another shot affected. It was Key with the long reach. Walker in transition. Long 2. Key cleans it up.
And one thing we're already seeing, Kevin, is Kelly Harper is just substituting between Key and Kesh Kittiwah, trying to keep her bigs fresh because she's going to keep that fresh body against Hillman, it looks like.
That 3 is good. Haley Brown.
I think Haley Brown's critical for Michigan. They've got to find that third consistent score here this evening if they're going to get the W, and she's definitely capable of it. Really compliments Naz Hillman because when she's hitting from the outside, it opens it up for Hillman even more down low.
Terrell, head fake, 1 dribble. Rebound to Brown. 30 seconds to go, first quarter. Michigan ahead by 2. A little bit of a choppy rhythm to start. Both teams finding their stride offensively in the latter few minutes.
I think you also have to credit the defense for both teams for part of that reason as well.
Leah Brown picks up the dribble, fades, rebound T. End of one, it's Michigan by 2. Kelly Harper's team trails by a bucket. The former Lady Vols star back home in her second year as the head coach. More on that next.
Probably what you think it was. It was really tough.
I'm not going to hold back. So, yes, I showed a lot of emotion, but the team responded.
We won 3 straight national championships, 3 SEC championships. I just feel like Pat would tell me to work hard and do the best job that I could possibly do.
Learning from the all-time best, the 3-time national champion at Tennessee, Kelly Harper. And look at this short list, by the way. It is only a few names have made it. Those to have reached the NCAA tournament as a player and then coach at the same school. And Kelly Harper has done that with a handful of programs as well, reaching the tournament as a head coach. Holly?
Well, you know, Kim Barnes-Rico, this is the first time Michigan's ever faced Tennessee, and she said, you know, it's such an honor. I was a huge Pat Summitt fan growing up. There's a part of me that wishes we were playing against her today, and I was coaching against Pat Summitt. And her husband, Larry, who said he was a big Pat Summitt fan as well, said, no, you don't. You do not wish you were coaching against Pat Summitt today. So obviously no disrespect to Kelly Harper, but they were kind of having a funny chuckle about don't wish for that. Nobody wants to coach against Pat.
Well, and Christy, do you see some of the elements, the styles, the demeanor of Pat in Kelly as well?
I covered a game last year, and Kelly's obviously an inaugural year in Tops of Bowling, and I didn't want to make the comparisons on air, but I left that game the stoic poise on the sideline. And I'm not going to say Kelly's got a stare similar to Pat, but it's in the family. There is a look that she can give, and when I saw it, it was at the officials. And I've also seen Kelly chew the officials that I think would make Pat very proud.
Christy, you mentioned Davis and Burrell. They were terrific in the first round win. 1 of 8 from the field combined, just the 2 points. Into the paint, and that one's down. Horston.
Well, credit Michigan. I mean, they're really packing it in the paint right now, almost daring Tennessee to try to elevate and shoot from the outside.
You know, Michigan was one of the better defensive teams in the Big Ten. Held their opponents to under 65 a game and forced them to shoot just 39% from the field. Well, a support from all Vol Nation for Kelly Harper, but on the home front, of course, as well.
Go, mommy. Go, mommy. Go, mommy. Go, mommy. I love you. Go, mommy. Go, mommy. I love you.
Great shot.
Stars in the making right there. Her kids, Jackson and Kylie.
That just shows you Kelly Harper's a winner on and off the court.
That's like no chores for like a month for doing that video, by the way. Well, and it's not just Tennessee, Christy, that she's led to the NCAA tournament. The 3 other programs as well that she coached at: Missouri State, NC State, Western Carolina as well. Everywhere she's gone, she's left an impact on that program. And now back home, the Sparta, Tennessee native grew up about 90 minutes west of Knoxville. The Lady Vols down 4, 2 minutes into the second quarter. Offensive rebound and the putback for Burrell, the junior from Vegas, on the board.
Well, Michigan was so busy boxing out the weak side post player that it took 2 of them that they left Burrell wide open, and that's how she was able to get that rebound and put it in.
So Christy, half of Tennessee's points on the second effort. Johnson got stripped.
Well, when you talk about Tennessee, you are talking about one of the best rebounding teams in the country.
Winner of this game to the Sweet 16 on the men's side. That tournament continues on Saturday the 27th. Sweet 16 action on TBS and CBS as well. The Michigan men's program advancing, and the women's team trying to reach their first ever Sweet 16. This is the 6th time they've reached the round of 32 and have never really been close in this game. They've got the 2-point lead today over Tennessee in the first half. Brown offline. Boy, Lady Vol went tumbling on the opposite side with Burrell. Forced and traveled.
I mean, Kevin, my head's off to Michigan right now because of their rotations and how they're trying to take away the dribble penetration opportunities of Tennessee. The key for Michigan, though, is that second chance opportunity that you alluded to. Tennessee is 6th in the nation in rebounds per game, and we're seeing the length. And so if Michigan's not sound from a fundamental perspective in the box out, it could be a long afternoon.
I'm with you, though, 100%. They are just collapsing on the dribble drive. Stays here.
Now with Hillman out of the game, you got to imagine that the offense is going to flow through Brown.
There she is, the catch, the basket, and the foul.
Here's the scouting report for Michigan on any out-of-bounds play, sideline out plays. You have to know where Brown is. She's so active coming in and moving without the ball. Great strength, body control to draw that foul and finish.
Excellent call on the inbound. Here's Brown, the junior from Auburn, Indiana. Transferred in from Nebraska a year ago. Played off the bench there, immediately into the starting lineup, and has started all 16 with Michigan this year.
Well, Kim Barnes-Rico said when they were on a roll early, a big part of that was Brown. And then Brown missed 39 straight days due to COVID protocols. And I think we're just now seeing her really get back to her true form as we saw the 28 points against Florida Gulf Coast.
I just think how you have to work back from a conditioning standpoint, skill standpoint. At 39 days is significant.
And then, Kevin, chemistry with your teammates again, because they kept playing. They've kind of evolved, and so not ideal by any means, but this, I think, is a testament to Leah Brown and her skill set and her perseverance to be contributing the way she is right now.
And guys, the players were actually pointing out to Coach Kim Barnes-Rico, like, listen, Amy Dilk's not here. We're without some players. We've been through this all season. There have only been 3 or 4 games this entire season where they had their full complement of players. So they've been able to really go and get past adversity, roll with who they've got, and Leah Brown's a great example of that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Holly, and both coaches have commented on that this week. Now, that adversity during the year, the challenges you face then, it's going to aid you in this setting. Roush wants 3. It's Michigan by 5. Davis, sweet move behind the back, and another miss. So Davis, 1 of 7 from the field. And that's Tennessee's leading scorer. She goes for nearly 18 a game. Hillman posted. The 46 for these two in that first round win against Middle Tennessee State, a 25-point victory. Today, 4 total, and you've been on it all afternoon. It's just this Michigan defense has been suffocating. Here's what happened right after this play, by the way. There's Johnson.
Well, I got to give Walker some credit. She got pinned on the post up by Hillman and totally blew up that pass to allow that ball to go out of bounds to get her defense set behind her.
Walker, number 4 in the white, and Johnson tangling for a moment. 6 to shoot. Oh, and the block. The recovery from Key. One of the vicious shot blockers in the country. She averages 3 a game, and on the other side, it's Horston, who's got a couple of field goals in this quarter.
I think when you play Tennessee, a couple of things you have to be wary of when you're on offense. Turnovers, as we just saw. Quality shot selection, because long rebounds allow the Lady Vols to get out and run, and we just saw the same thing with that last shot block.
Floater offline from Salary. Good illustration of it, Christy, a little bit of, you've got Michigan on the offensive end, likes to move it. Tennessee might play a little faster. Contrast of styles.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan, and mainly because you have a great post player like Hillman down low, is better in the half court.
Michigan by 3. We're inside the Alamo Dome for this 3-6 battle between Tennessee and Michigan. Just across the highway, you've got the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, which this month is doubling as the practice court, the practice facilities for all the teams that are staying in San Antonio. Of course, 9 different practice courts. They're in use by every single one of the teams still alive in the tournament. And more games to come later today and Wednesday. Alabama, Maryland at 1 on ESPN2. Oregon and Georgia to follow at 3. And then to wrap it up, Louisville and Northwestern, plus the big upset pick. Wright State battles Missouri State at 3 Eastern tomorrow. That's on ESPNU. The highest seed to advance in about a decade in this tournament. Wright State with a big win yesterday.
I mean, Kevin, we were fortunate. We were on the BYU upset of Rutgers, the Belmont upset of Gonzaga. I mean, it was just so many upsets yesterday. Just great for our game. Unfortunate for some teams who lost, but great for our game of women's basketball.
Those 3 upsets now. Everything else was chalk. The higher seed did advance in everything else. Walker offline. Would you like to see the neutral court venue at some point moving forward for this tournament? All teams in one spot?
I mean, I'm a firm believer that we don't see those upsets yesterday if we're not on a neutral side. So, again, I'm always going to be about growing the game of women's basketball, and I think it's just good for our game. So, yes. I just gave a long answer. Yes. You know, Kevin, one thing that's been interesting is for the majority of this game, Hillman has been matched up on Renaya Davis. They have put Brown on the true post player for Tennessee, whether that's been Key or Kishkitawa.
Key left it short. Davis can't follow. Michigan by 3, looking to advance to its first ever Sweet 16. As a team now 2 of 9 from deep.
I mean, when you talk about these two teams, you're talking about the paint points. Michigan came in averaging 39 paint points a game. Tennessee, 40. And yet, this is where the game planning is coming in when the offense settles for those 3-point opportunities.
Walker lost it, skipping into the paint. Right now, 7 Tennessee turnovers.
And Kelly Harper has said she's okay with the turnovers when they're attacking, when they're aggressive like turnovers. Those kind of turnovers in the half court aren't going to make the head coach happy.
Righty hook, that's down. Haley Brown with 8. Does it feel like Michigan's slowing Tennessee down today?
Absolutely, but a lot of it has been they've executed well offensively, milking that shot clock a little bit, and they've taken good shots, which has allowed their transition defense to get back and get set.
So these will be the 5th and 6th free throws for Tennessee. It's Tamari Key at the line. Destiny Salary to the bench. Burrell back in. The 5 offensive rebounds already for Key. She's well above her season average of just about 5.5 rebounds a game.
Key has improved so much this season. Just you could see her confidence growing and going throughout, has become a true low post presence for the Lady Vols.
.145 until half. Winner to face Baylor or Virginia Tech in the Sweet 16. Hillman spin, and that one wiped away. Now 3 blocks for Key.
And I was just going to say, that's part of the growth of Key. She just stayed her ground, didn't try to go at Hillman, sized it up, and was able to get that block. It was a great move by Hillman, but better defense by Key.
Hillman just the 6 points in the first half, 3 of 8 from the field. Boy, it's been tough for Tennessee from the outside. There's Hillman.
Great job of Michigan of striking quick out of transition. They recognized the mismatch. Hillman went to work down low.
The All-American with 8, plus the 7 rebounds. Tennessee with just 19 points in the first half. It's a team that averages close to 75 a game. 4 to shoot. Walker tees it up. Michigan with about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, the differential between shot and game clock. Leah Brown, guarded by Burrell. Haley Brown knocks down another triple. After 1 half, it's Michigan feeling it, up by 9 over the 3 seed Tennessee. Well, coming up at the AT&T 5G at the half of the studio, it'll be Maria, Andy, and Rebecca. I'll tell you about how NC State has moved on. Here, it's Michigan by 9. Yeah, those 3 triples, huge in that first half. And that, in fact, you could say explains the 9-point lead for Michigan. 14-0 when leading at the break. And the Wolverines, they've been here before, Christy. This is their 6th appearance in a round of 32. They haven't really been close to any of the prior 5. A 9-point lead at the half. Winner to face Baylor or Virginia Tech. Danielle Roush, the Syracuse native, looks for help. And it's Leah Brown who bails her out.
Well, again, you just see no panic in Michigan. A bad pass, have to run it down the corner. They gather it, they keep moving without the ball, and Brown knocks it down.
Boy, that one was pinballed out of Burrell's grasp, only to bounce right back to her. Can't hit the baseline, Jay. Christie, the 19 for Tennessee. The lowest total for any half this year. Hillman, a big offensive rebound.
Well, we can talk about the defense for Tennessee, but on the offensive end, it's just been pretty stagnant. A lot of one-on-one ball. Key is they have got to get Renaya Davis going in the half court. I would love to see a little inside-out. Pass it in. Well, if no one's behind you, turn and score. Cassie Keshkitawa. But if the defense is, kick it back out and get the movement going that way for the Lady Vols.
Now 6 for Keshkitawa. Oh, Hillman, terrific position. And
but I got to compliment
the
assist, Kevin, because that's not an easy angle to get it in. So it's passer, but also Hillman with the great footwork and hands.
And that is not the player you want to start heating up. Turnover. Roush looking, slows. A quick 4 for Hillman. The 9-point halftime lead is already swelled to 13 for the Wolverines.
And Kevin, Holly hit this in the open, but just the lack of experience that Roush has really had, being thrown into this position without Amy Delk. And I'm surprised Tennessee isn't really picking up the pressure on her.
Oh, sweet scoop and score. So now both Browns in double figures.
Now, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but when I watch Leah Brown, she reminds me a lot of Larry Bird. Just her ability to raise up and shoot, but her ability to create off the bounce. And it goes beyond both being Indiana natives. It's more her ball-making skills.
I'm sold. Auburn, French lick. This run, 18-5, maybe more. Free throws coming for Brown.
Well, we knew Hillman would keep working there, seals the defender high, and presents her numbers to get the pass. But it's Brown with a sweet little scoop shot for 2.
It's Michigan by 15.
The NCAA Women's Championship, presented by Capital One, is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need.
Historic Mercado. We're in San Antonio. I love every regional named after iconic area of the city. So here's Kim Barnes-Arico looking to extend the stay in San Antonio. Michigan's never been where it's trying to get to today. That's the Sweet 16. A 15-point lead over Tennessee. Christy, they have extended the lead with quite a punch here to start the second half.
Well, and this takes nothing away from the players because they are executing the game plan. But hats off to Kim Barnes-Arico and her entire staff. I love the defensive game plan. They're not forcing the action into Hillman. And I think it just goes back, again, what I've been saying about Kim Barnes-Arico. She obviously is a great recruiter, but she develops talent. And when you watch her in practice, she's a true teacher of the game. And it goes to her staff as well, because I was told Toyo Wilson is a big reason for Nash Hillman's development. Spends countless hours watching film, game to game. What can I do better? And they break it all down. So great players don't just emerge. Usually there's a great coach behind them as well.
And when you think about what Barnes-Arico has done at Michigan, 8 straight 20-win seasons. Now, Michigan only played 20 games to this point this year, so of course you'd think that stretch, or that streak I should say, would have been extended to 9 had Michigan played more games. This is a 22-5 run.
Well, I made the statement a couple of times, and it's easy for me to sit here and be critical, but I feel like some of these teams that went on pauses were underseeded. Michigan being one, Rutgers probably being one, South Florida being one. And I don't know if they're playing with a chip on their shoulder or not, but Michigan has been playing really well since they've gotten to Texas.
5 of 6 from the field in the second half. That one rolls out.
And because of Tennessee's ability to score in transition, Michigan cannot get comfortable. He misses lead to transition, and we see it there as Renee Davis gets on the board.
That's just her second field goal. Someone who has more than 1,800 points in her career. A stellar one in Knoxville. Hillman, offensive rebound. Roush for 3. And that may have last been touched by Walker. Michigan ball, a new 20. The Wolverines relentless right now.
I'm going to say hungry. That's what I see when I see Michigan right now. This is a very hungry team who's willing to do whatever it takes to get this W today.
Johnson blocked. Kush Kittowa with the right arm flexes it over the senior. Davis underneath, draws the foul. And that's the player that's got to get going for Tennessee.
Well, if you look at the last 2 offensive possessions, she's the one who's looked to take over. And I think Tennessee's got to get her more involved. And I think the easiest way is in transition, as we're seeing. But Kevin, one thing I want us to keep an eye on is because Tennessee keeps subbing out Key and Keshkitawa, does that affect Hillman down the stretch of this game? Because she's having to work really hard on both ends of the floor. Tennessee extending that 2-3 matchup.
Ball movement, Johnson, no.
Keep an eye on Brown inbounding the ball and coming in. Or getting the ball, I should say.
Leah Brown.
She had 8 points in their win over Florida Gulf Coast just on out-of-bounds plays.
Kushkitala blocked. Haley Brown got both hands on it. Michigan was up by 9 at the break, now ahead by 15. Here's South Carolina. Remember, they play at 7 on ESPN. Who wants to go to the Sweet 16?
Welcome back to San Antonio, where Michigan's established a 15-point lead. How? They're getting it done in the paint. Naz Hillman with a dribble penetration. Brown gets in on the action, and it has been anybody and everybody when they've got 2 feet in the paint, kissing it off the glass, attacking, getting the high percentage. We knew paint points would be important in this game. Well, Michigan responded here already, 12 here in the third quarter.
And +8 compared to Tennessee. A team that lives in the paint. A 15-point advantage for Michigan, looking to reach its first ever Sweet 16. Its 9th appearance in the tournament, 3rd straight. Haven't gotten there yet. Those long strides into the paint. Brown a little strong on that. Davis pulls up, yes.
And that's how quickly Tennessee can get back in a ball game. But it started with the defensive stop, great outlet pass, easy 2. I should say easy. Renata Davis makes it look easy in transition.
2 of 3 from the field in the second half. Had just the 2 points at half number 1. Another 3 is down. Haley Brown with 4 today.
Well, Tennessee had 2 easy points in transition, and the senior Haley Brown says, I don't care. Spotting up yet again for 3.
You said she missed how many in a row entering this one?
16.
I don't buy it. 4 triples today. And what a shooting performance for the senior from Ontario. Starting her 113th game. She has started every game she's played in her Michigan career.
And Kevin, I need to make a correction. I got my Browns mixed up. So for Haley Brown, she's on fire. We're going to leave it at that right now.
Well, you and me both. It's a 4 3-pointer day for Brown. The free throw good for Horston. Key and Darby back in for Tennessee. Michigan on the ice in the regional semifinals of the men's Frozen Four. It's Friday at 4 Eastern on ESPNU. Michigan against Minnesota Duluth. Turnover. Horston, easy lay-in. Back to a 12-point game.
And like Horston almost dared Michigan to make that pass, and she was sitting there waiting to shoot the gap for that steal.
Here's Hillman. Going to work. Scoop. Johnson. Right back to the All-American. This time she scores it. Nearly a double-double for Hillman. The turnover, the 12th for Tennessee. And Brown was anticipating Hillman to keep going. Instead, a turnover.
How about Hillman's perseverance? Gets blocked the first time, but the second time she uses her body to kind of almost screen off the much taller Key to get by her to extend and kiss it off the glass.
Well, Ken Barnes-Arico, very concerned about that Tennessee length, worked with her team on practice at going up and under. She said, we can get shots with bounce passes, going low instead of trying to go over that length. That's a perfect example there. Naz went up and under.
And you have just been detailing it all afternoon, Christy. It's Michigan unfazed at times by that length, by the reach.
And I got to give some compliments right now to Danielle Roach. Holly started the game talking about this young lady, and I've seen her get a block on one end. She's, for the most part, handled and gotten her team set up in the half court. That time, unfortunately, Michigan turned it over. But on the big stage, this young lady has responded in a big way for Michigan this afternoon.
Michigan has led by as many as 19. Its lead has primarily been a double-digit one in this third quarter. Darby up top, Walker, no. Hillman now with the double-double. That's her 10th rebound. It's the 15th of the year for the Big Ten Player of the Year. .130 to go, third quarter. Winner to the Sweet 16. Darby. She creates the turnover. Key off the window, down and out.
And it was honestly one of the better offensive possessions in my mind because the ball got reversed and then they went into Key. Unfortunately, just couldn't get to go down.
Yeah, it was a great possession. And another layup at the rim that goes awry for Tennessee. Just 7 of 20 at the rim tonight. Hillman battling with Key. Brown, no look out to Maddie Nolan.
Great offense by Michigan. Again, it starts with that dribble penetration, getting 2 feet in the paint, then kicking it out to those shooters spotting up.
That's now 5 threes for Michigan, a team that doesn't hit many of those. They're right at their season average, but they're +5 from deep, as Tennessee's now 0 of 8 from downtown. 12 seconds left, third quarter. Crossover, Walker, hard bounce off the window. Davis with the second chance. Clock running, 3 seconds. Brown, from three-quarter court.
Well, Michigan is on fire inside and outside. Off the dribble penetration, Maddie Nolan spots up, knocks it down, and her teammates are celebrating.
Put in work like a champion. Even at my worst, I'm a champion. Aiming for the best like a champion. I will never stop like a champion.
It's Aaliyah Boston and South Carolina getting ready for their second round battle against Oregon State. The near 2020 double-double for the SEC Co-Defensive Player of the Year. Coming up tonight, it's not just South Carolina and Oregon State, it's Baylor and Virginia Tech. That game follows us on ESPN2. The winner of our game faces one of those two. Then you've got UConn and Stanford, 2 of the 1 seeds later tonight at 9. It's also on the ESPN app. Look at the score. Michigan by 15 over the 3 seed Tennessee. The Wolverines attempting to reach the Sweet 16 for the first time ever. Layup is good, and it was Burrell on the blow-by.
Well, I love the play call. Just a little rub screen, getting Burrell downhill, getting her to the rim.
It's exactly what Tennessee needed, just an easy bucket. It has been difficult tonight at times to score. Just 33% from the field. Bounce pass, jarred away, Brown on the floor. Tie up, possession arrow keeps it here.
But you also just saw the juices of Tennessee get going there. After the made bucket, hands were up in that zone, taking away passing lanes. Can they get a stop and get out in transition and try to get back-to-back buckets?
You've detailed it at times when Tennessee is on the move and in transition. That's when they're effective. They've been limited to a lot of half-court offense tonight. Here goes Walker. Davis, kick out, Darby. Walker reaches for it, Michigan ball. Well, Kelly Harper's team has been down by as many as 19. It was a 9-point cushion for Michigan at the break. Tennessee was able to cut it back to a 15-point game at the end of 3, but Michigan just feels like the aggressor, especially in the second half.
Kevin, I just think even out of that last timeout or break in the quarter, Tennessee's coming out playing much harder. We're seeing them get on the floor now twice, extending plays, defense intensity is up. I'm excited for these next 9 minutes.
And now it's about hitting shots like that. It's Tennessee with possession after the jump ball. Kushkitova back in. Five seconds on the timer, that's all.
Sorry, Kevin, I was going to say Tess Darby was in to hit some threes and try to loosen up this defense.
Just nothing there on that possession. Brown with 15. Haley Brown offline. Loose ball foul after the miss. Now, Michigan was making shots earlier today as well. And from anywhere, anytime. Now, one half quarter is good. 2 in a row. That's just, what are the odds of that? So shout out to Emily Kaiser and Megan Fizo.
Kevin, I would just say 2 in a row is hot.
I think Kaiser gets to say, hey, you know, without the one I made on the heels of yours, this isn't that significant. Tennessee they've hit their threes in this game as well. They've got 5 from deep. Davis a misfire. Lead feed, Hillman running the floor. That's been an illustration of the day for Davis. It's been a difficult one. Burrell nails the long. It looked like a long 2. Check that. It's a 3. Johnson has been pushing through some discomfort. Meanwhile, that was the first 3 of the day for Tennessee. Brown, corner 3. He gets tied up, and Johnson, fighting through the discomfort, was able to force the tie-up.
Did they call a foul or did they call a jump ball? So I thought I saw the official motion to the table there.
It is, and correction, it is the foul on Johnson. Like a senior from Toledo has earned a reputation for fighting through the adversities, the injuries throughout her career. Traveling violation.
Well, Kevin, Michigan is going under every one of those on-ball screens, which is preventing Tennessee from being able to turn the corner. And that time, Burrell just got caught off balance there and got caught for the travel.
Burrell has turned it over 5 times. That's 13 for Tennessee. Johnson on the dive. Goes coming.
Well, if this is Johnson injured, I don't want to see Johnson feeling 100% good, because this young lady has made such a big impact. She's been so active here. We've seen the tie-ups, the rebounds, movement of the ball with her, and that time cutting to the basket, getting it, and drawing the foul.
Well, you talk about Johnson fighting through something right now. Just before the end of the quarter, she took a hard fall onto the ground. They saw to her on the sideline as she was really kind of struggling to catch her breath. But, guys, I think she's also really tired. She has been on Rennia Davis for much of the night, expending a ton of energy on defense and just gone to the ground, taking lots of bumps and bruises, and playing her guts out right now.
Yeah, Holly, she's peeling herself off the floor a number of times. As she's held Davis to 4 of 14 shooting. The all-defensive team selection in the Big Ten.
I mean, that's just textbook. Moving your feet, cutting off angles.
Yeah, and she's mentioned that was a huge goal of hers, was to make that all-defensive team in her final season. Tennessee down 14. Oh, Burrell gets the friendly roll.
But that started because Rennia Davis was able to get 2 feet in the paint off the bounce. It's just so important for Tennessee to try to draw some help side to get momentum going for their fellow teammates to be able to create off the bounce.
Up top, Nolan sets the feet. It's Tennessee ball after the miss. Less than 6 to go.
Sorry, Kevin, I was going to say the communication amongst the Michigan players on the floor tonight has been remarkable. Every time there's any stoppage in the action, they are together, they're communicating, they're staying together as a group, which is a huge sign to me in terms of culture, chemistry, and a winning way.
There it is, just pivotal in a lot of ways. This group responsible for, you can make the case this is one of the better seasons in program history, and ironic it comes during such a year of challenges and adversity. Christie, Michigan, 5:48 away from the Sweet 16.
The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Today's Capital One rewarding performance, Haley Brown and her 4 triples.
Well, you've hit it on the head. She's been money from deep, and Michigan has needed every bit of it, not just for point production, but it's also opened up the middle for Hillman to get her touches as well. I can't say enough about the senior showing up today on the biggest stage.
She has started all 113 of her games as a Michigan Wolverine. It has just felt, as Michigan takes a 12-point lead into the final 12 minutes, make it 11. They had a game plan. Holly wrote detailing before about the preparations to face the Tennessee length. They prepared for this matchup, and it seems to this point have just executed just about everything to have this double-digit lead as we approach the midway mark of the 4th.
Well, but I'll also say, with the way Tennessee can turn teams over and get out in transition, we still got a lot of basketball ahead of us. I think the key right now for Tennessee is, can they start disrupting and creating some easy scoring opportunities?
5:30 to go. Tennessee was down by 19 earlier in the 3rd. It's back within 10. Johnson has space. Kushkitova rips it away. Tennessee has a chance to get it back to single digits for the first time in a while. Winner to the Sweet 16. Davis sweeps in, leaves it short. And that's a foul on Kushkitova. And that's her second. And that's Sweet 16 next Saturday, the 27th. The Final Four right here in San Antonio on Friday, April 2nd. The championship is at 6 Eastern. on Sunday the 4th. Now, who is going to extend their stay in San Antonio? Kim Barnes-Arico, who has guided Michigan to 8 straight 20-win seasons. Outside of this year, only playing 20 games overall. Less than 5 to play, and Michigan is advancing to the Sweet 16 for the first time ever. Good action. It frees up Roush. Buries the 3. Six triples for Michigan.
Well, you want to talk about being ready when your number is called. It's Danielle Roush, this time spotting up for 3 in the corner.
And a steal. It's Johnson. Brown trailing. Finds her. Lays it in. 15-point lead again for the Wolverines. Seizing momentum back.
Cassie Kashkirwa was telling the perimeters to get it over to the wing because she felt like she had the seal, but they're not doing that.
She's got it. Turns, right shoulder, banks it in. And a timeout, 13-point game again. Inside the Alamo Dome. 3:40 to go until we figure out who's going to face either Baylor or Texas A&M. This is the Riverwalk region. You've got UConn up there at the top, a high-scoring Iowa, and Caitlin Clark, 86 on Kentucky. They advance. You know, Tennessee in recent years has flamed out right here in the round of 32. They haven't reached the Sweet 16 in 5 years. Does it have... It needs a pretty monumental run right now. It's been hard to find the points today for Tennessee. 3:41 left for Tennessee, or it's going home.
Well, I got to believe that timeout by Kelly Harper was to switch the defense up. I'm expecting some full court pressure here by Tennessee, and there we have it. Up on the ball. Again, they're just trying to disrupt. I'm assuming trying to get a turnover here.
Roush fights away, and they break it. Knocked away from behind by Walker.
Who else but Jordan Walker? She has not given up a play on a play yet this evening.
Hillman, quick first step, pretty move, couldn't finish. Tennessee the other way, Renaya Davis. Walker got bumped. That's a foul on Leah Brown. You know, nobody in significant foul trouble. That's just the second on Leah Brown. The only player on the court today with 3 is Naz Hillman. .309 to go. Turnover, it's Roush. And we've talked about it with Amy Dilk out. Their starting point guard, Roush, has made some big plays today.
And I got to believe now Michigan's in no hurry. They'll milk this clock down and then try to get a shot towards the latter part of the clock.
It puts the pressure on Tennessee when it gets it back. This starts a fire from deep. They're 1 of 10 from deep today. 2 to shoot. Johnson hoists it. Hillman battling. Davis on the floor. Possession arrow favors Michigan. The effort and the hustle. They can milk 20 more seconds off the game clock.
the poise of Michigan, whether it's been defensively, against the pressure of Tennessee. Again, Tennessee extends the pressure, no panic in Michigan. They break it, they get the ball down the floor. Just so impressed with this ball club. Again, short-handed in the guard position without Amy Dilk. And this team has really stepped up in a big way.
Kim Barnes-Arico has only played 7. 2.5 to go. This fantastic season for Michigan on the verge of continuing. Johnson with Key sagging into the paint. That one got blocked by a few hands, flailing at the layup. 5 on the shot clock for the Wolverines.
I'm not sure why Johnson wanted to take it all the way in against Key. Key was giving her space. Probably should have just elevated and knocked down the jumper.
Here's Brown. Tennessee's got to go to work. 2:15 to go. Forston missed it. Another layup that won't fall for the Lady Vols.
10 of 27
That's a traveling
on
violation.
the evening for Tennessee on layups.
Just significant. A team that, Christy, they pounded inside. They got one of the better 2-point field goal percentages in the country. Michigan has stifled them defensively.
Well, Tennessee's putting in Tess Darby, their 3-point shooter. I'm sure they're looking to try to get her a look here.
Davis, foul, 2 free throws coming. That's an easy way to give Tennessee a good shot at getting 2 here.
Well, Miss Kelly Harper try to do a little offense-defense substitution here down the stretch as well.
That's just the first foul, team foul, I should say, on Michigan. Tennessee with 2, so neither team in the bonus. Nowhere close just yet. You've got a couple timeouts left for Tennessee, 3 for Michigan. 1:50 to go.
And Tennessee has gone smaller, so I do expect a full court pressure, just trying to turn Michigan over.
$11-point game. Michigan uses a timeout.
Well, Naz Hillman, the All-Big Ten Player of the Year, has shown up in a big way against bigger competition. She hasn't forced the action. She's been steady and patient, presented her numbers, and when she's been able to create the space, she's been able to finish. Naz Hillman will get another double-double for Michigan, and Mom is loving it.
Nashima watching on. Well, Michigan is 150 away from extending the stay in San Antonio. 15 double-doubles for the All-American. It just keeps adding the accolades. She was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year a couple of years ago, the 6th Player of the Year, Big Ten Player of the Year. And the key right now for Tennessee, as we take a look, our officials at the monitor. It's Brian Burnett.
After review, the contact is deemed incidental.
Taking a look to see if there was any extra contact on that prior play.
Well, it's advantage Tennessee here because it's stoppage of play. Lets Kelly Harper get her team together, diagram a play without having to burn one of those remaining 2 timeouts.
And let me reset. Tennessee in the bonus. Each team with 2 timeouts. The possession arrow favors the Lady Vols. Brown searching, tipped, and it was touched by Horston.
Michigan very fortuitous that they didn't get a 5-second call there.
Brown, a smart play, but lost it. Burrell poked it free. Davis, Horston, they need it. That three short. There's 1:35. Brown cruising by everyone. Shot rejected.
Yeah, I was surprised Brown took that in. Sorry, Kevin. I was surprised Brown took that in. And immediately, Kim Barnes-Rico's telling them to get the ball out. She wants them to milk clock. Leah Brown's not done. Trying to get 2 more points on the board, and Horston sizes it up with the block.
And a turnover.
Now, if you're Tennessee here, don't settle for threes. Don't waste a lot of time trying to get threes. With their penetration skills, I'd love to see some action trying to get to the rim.
1:17 to go. Each team with the 2 timeouts. And if Tennessee scores here, it's probably, what, the aggressive trap? When do you start fouling?
Because there are some players from Michigan that you can foul. I think right now, immediately, if you can get the right person. But Tennessee's been so close, 2 possessions of getting that 5-second count. So I would try to go for the 5-second count first. And again, with the length of Tennessee, maybe even go for a trap and steal before you just settle for the foul.
First things first, they need the basket here. 3 in the air. Leah Brown.
And Tennessee does need to foul now because they still have 2 fouls to give to even put Michigan on the free throw line.
They just get it across the timer, use about 8-9 seconds. And there is the foul. Inside of a minute.
The poise of Michigan, I cannot say this enough. So impressed. They have not gotten rattled. They have played within themselves throughout this game.
It's how they played all year at times. The 6th seed, the highest in program history. Reached as high as number 11 in the AP poll earlier this year. Another program best. And trying to get to the Sweet 16 for the first time ever. Now that's the 4th team foul on Tennessee. Now that one does, in fact, send Michigan to the line to try to extend the 11-point lead.
I got shoot.
12-point advantage. Timeout. Kelly Harper.
Kelly Harper's looking confused, like she didn't call the timeout. Well, regardless, Kelly Harper's getting the timeout. I'm not sure if a player might have called it.
Yep. And now just 1 left for Tennessee. The winner of this one is going to face either Baylor or Virginia Tech, and that game follows right here on ESPN2.
Well, anyone who's followed Renai Davis's career, she's been clutch down the stretch. Game winner a year ago to beat Alabama at the buzzer, 5 feet behind the 3. So, I mean, this young lady can create. It's just Tennessee's got to go. They can't waste a lot of time trying to get a 3 when getting a 2 in 5 seconds or less is probably the better way to go right now.
Yeah, now the value is more just using up as little time as possible. Get the shot up as fast as you can. Michigan has been through quite a lot this year. Kim Barnes-Arico has them just about 52 seconds away from knocking out the 3 seed in the Riverwalk region, Tennessee. 3 seconds come off the clock. She spent 10 years at St. John's, remember, as the head coach. Led that program to the Sweet 16 9 years ago. That was the furthest that they've ever advanced in the NCAA tournament. She's trying to do the same here at Michigan. A big 3 has it back to 9. The trap, they fight out of it, and Brown gets fouled. 42 seconds left.
Look, the good news for Tennessee, they got the 3 without a lot of time going off the clock. I thought they might get that trap and steal, but credit Naz Hillman for running to the ball to get the ball inbounded in time. And again, the presence of mind, not panicking, so cool, calm, and collective for the Wolverines this evening.
One shot, one, straight in.
19 points for Leah Brown. That leads all scorers. Horston takes it right to the rim. That's in. 9-point game again. 36.6. Quick foul. Brown to the line once more. Tennessee just has to keep extending this game as often as it can.
Well, I love the last possession for Tennessee. No timeout called, just got it in and went. The quick 2, but also credit Michigan. Immediately ran to get the ball out of bounds and inbounded it before Tennessee could really get solid defensively.
How has Michigan done it at times defensively today? What's really stood out?
Well, I think they really prevented Tennessee from getting downhill, whether it was off of on-ball screens or some of their handoffs. They just really closed up the paint, making it hard for Tennessee.
Now the layup starting to fall. Walker with 5 points here in the last few seconds. And get it back to Leah Brown, who is, Christy, 9 of 9 at the stripe.
Well, Kevin, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so right now it's the best inbound play that you can run for Michigan.
The trio of the 2 Browns, Leah and Haley, and then Hillman. That's 53 of the 65 for Michigan.
We talked about it at the outset. We knew the dynamic duo of Leah Brown and Naz Hillman. Would someone else step up? And yes, Haley Brown did in a big way.
And her teammates recognizing the efforts.
Well, Kevin, we talked about the balance amongst the big 3 here. Brown spotting up, and they have needed all of those 3s from her today. And then it's been Leah Brown, so smooth off the bounce. Amazing mid-range game. And then the fastest post player in the country, according to her head coach, Naz Hillman, running the floor.
They've got the 54 of their team's 66 today. An 11-point advantage, 25.1 left. And this team, we haven't seen it yet. They don't appear like a team would be rattled, phased in these type of moments. They're hitting the critical free throws.
Well, Kevin, honestly, you wonder.
Yeah, go ahead.
You wonder if because of their pause that stopped because of COVID from January to February, if right now they're really starting to peak at the right time. You know, a lot of teams really, you're aiming for that latter part of February going into conference tournament. Well, for Michigan, you know, they got upset, in my opinion, by Northwestern in the Big Ten tournament. And you see it one of 2 ways between conference tournament and NCAA tournament. Some teams have been on a roll and that break hurts them. Others regroup, tweak some things, and go on a roll. And right now, Michigan's playing really good basketball.
Davis leans in. Must foul, and Hillman is now heading to the free throw line. 17.7. And all but sends it now. Michigan so close to officially advancing. They'll face either Baylor or Virginia Tech. That game is next right here on ESPN2. UConn, perhaps Syracuse, later at 9. You see those two in Iowa lurking at the top half of the Riverwalk region. The embrace. Haley Brown, Kim Barnes-Arico. They spent the last 4 years together. And it's just felt like Michigan has executed just about every component of its game plan. The offensive rebound is going to give Hillman the do-over.
In so many ways, so fitting that Naz Hillman would get an offensive rebound off her own miss.
Renaya Davis, who's going to go down as one of the best players in program history. Top 10 in Tennessee basketball history in points and rebounds. The career coming to a close.
I have the utmost respect for Renaya Davis in this day and age of transferring. She chose to stay. She loves Tennessee, and she's just had an incredible career. Quite a talented young lady.
The turnover, one more foul. It'll delay the inevitable. 6.2 to go. Here's Leah Brown, who went for 28 in that first round game, follows it up with 24. Well, Michigan, it's going to extend its stay in San Antonio. Moving on to the Sweet 16 for the first time ever.
Well, hats off to Tennessee on a great season, moving in the right direction. But the balance scoring of Michigan just cost them here today.
They'll face either Baylor or Virginia Tech. That one coming up next. For Christy Thomas-Goody, Kevin Fitzgerald saying so long from right here in the Alamo Dome. Let's get you to Pam Ward and LaChina Robinson. Baylor and Virginia Tech up next.